There's no tits. There's no sex scenes. There's no violence. It's not for me. I want John Wick. Why doesn't John Wick win a Grammy? Welcome to another episode from Takedowns to Breakdowns with A&P. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the bands that we dislike the most. I don't want to use the word hate because that's such a strong word. I don't really hate any band. There's just certain bands that I don't get. For some reason, I just can't get into them. Even though other people really like them, I just can't get into them.
That's what most of the bands on mine are going to be, is just like bands that I don't know why other people like them, but they're not my thing.
They're not your thing. The reason I thought about this is twofolded. One, I almost amputated my foot today, so I'm in a pissy mood. I'm ready to dish out some pain and suffering to other people because right now my foot is like swollen. It was a garden accident. Let's just keep it as that. And the other thing is, we get asked all the time, what are your favorite bands? I don't have a favorite. My favorite band changes daily.
Yeah.
It depends on what mood I'm in. It depends what was the first song that I heard that day.
Or if we discover a band that we really like,
then we get into that band.
And then the rest of the day we're into that
That's
band.
our favorite band.
Yeah.
So I think the whole favorite band thing, at least for the two of us, it's really fluid. It changes constantly depending on mood, where we are, what we're listening to, what band we've discovered. So we're not those people that have like that one iconic religious band that they follow. It's their do or die band. I don't feel like that's who we are. We just constantly changing. So the thing that doesn't change is the ones that we don't like. Those are pretty consistent. We can add more.
Yeah, but also sometimes we can we can find the band that we hated and then, you know, like Hatebreed, for example.
Okay, so let's leave those for last. Let's mention two bands that we started off not liking and now we do. So let's leave those for last.
I already know what two we're going to talk about.
Okay, so let's talk about the ones that we dislike. I'm going to go first.
Yeah.
Rush. I honestly don't get it. I don't like the vocals. I don't like the sound. I feel like maybe it goes over my head. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's not Rush. Maybe it's me.
I'm not a fan of Rush either, and it's kind of like sacrilege.
I know, we're Canadian. I mean, I really feel like Rush and what's the other band?
Tragically Hip?
Yes. I can't stand either.
Yeah.
So I feel like those two, like almost to become a Canadian citizen, you need to listen to those two bands religiously. And those are two bands that I can't stand. I just don't like. I don't like the sound. I don't like the vibe. I'm not saying that they're incredible musicians. I'm not taking anything away from how good they are as musicians.
It's not my thing.
It's just not my thing. I just can't get it. I've tried, dude. I actually sat down and I listened to both bands, and I give it that good old college try. I just can't.
See, I wasn't a fan of Rush, and then our school for like music class, we had to listen to some Tragically Hip songs, and I didn't like it. So that's when I learned that I didn't like Tragically Hip.
Ahead of what by a century? Let's not even get into that. That's like a 20-minute video of me going on a rampage about
what they were ahead of.
What the fuck were they ahead of? I don't know. So anyway, so those two for sure. And Rush is an interesting one because when people find out we're Canadian, the first thing that people do is like talk about Rush. Oh, I love Rush. Well, good for you, buddy, because I don't. Yeah. I can't. Do you have one that you dislike? I know you have more than one.
I do have more than one. 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗠. 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗠 was one that I didn't like, but at the time when we listened to 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗠, I wasn't really into that type of metal. But then, like a couple years later, I listened to them again. I'm like, no, they're still my like. I thought it was me.
You thought it was you? You thought that you listened to them too early?
Yeah, I thought I wasn't mature enough, and then I got mature enough, and I'm like, oh fuck, no, I still don't like them.
And you like other bands from that genre?
I just don't like them.
You just don't like them. I've seen them live, and they've kind of grown on me, but not to the point where I would say that they're like on my playlist. Or I don't dislike them, but I'm also not a huge fan. I'm kind of pregnant about 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗠. Another band for me that always gets mentioned by a lot of people, and I always feel like a complete douche when I'm the only person in the whole room that says I'm not really into them. It's Tool.
I knew it.
I always feel like a complete tool when I tell people that I'm not into Tool.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's such a hipster band, and I'm not saying that only hipsters listen to Tool, but I always feel like there's some people who don't get them, but listen to them just because other people are listening to them and they want to seem like they're hip and cool and they're in the know. No, I don't think anybody that listens to Tool is in the know. And I'm not taking, once again, I'm not taking anything away from how good musicians they are. I don't get it. It's like one of those arts, to me they're like an artsy fartsy band.
Oh.
So it's like when I'm watching one of those movies that everybody is ranting about in terms of winning Oscars and all sorts of awards, and then I sit down to watch it and I'm like, what's going on?
Why is he winning awards?
Yeah, like there's nothing happening here. There's a tree, and there's people walking around the tree. There's no tits, there's no sex scenes, there's no violence. It's not for me. I want John Wick. Why doesn't John Wick can win a Grammy? Oh, not a Grammy, an Oscar. Well, you could win a Grammy for best soundtrack. Yeah. There you go, boom, done. Or is that an Emmy? I don't know. Whatever the fuck, you could win something.
Tool, I don't know, because I haven't really listened to that much Tool to get a full, you know, it was not memorable, yeah.
So it was not something that those two songs was enough for you to, hey, I need to check out some more of these guys.
No.
It just didn't cut it.
It fell flat.
It fell flat. To me, I just feel like it's lacking something. It's lacking some substance for me to really gravitate towards it and tie myself to that music so I can really stay with it. Once again, it goes over my head. And maybe it's not the band, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not philosophical enough to really understand the writings of Tool. I don't know. It's just not my. And once again, dude, like if I'm driving and on Liquid Metal Tool comes on or whatever, I'm like, okay, let me give this one a try. And then 2 minutes into it, I'm like, no, fuck, I can't do it. No, I cannot do it.
Next station.
Next station. I'd rather listen to Queensryche on Hair Nation or something like that, or Poison or Rat or Ozzy's Boneyard. I'd rather listen to some other bands like that, old school bands, than listen to Tool. Not that the two things are related. I pretty much rather listen
to anything.
Not anything. I draw the line at Nickelback and Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh, so Creed is before them.
Fuck, I'd rather listen to Creed. You heard it here. I'd rather listen to Creed
than listen to Tool.
Or Five Finger Death Punch or Nickelback. Because those are the other two bands that I don't understand how they have such a following when their music is so crappy. Like with Tool and what was the first one? And Rush. With Tool and Rush, I give them credit. Incredible musicians. I just don't get it.
And you can see why other people, but it's just not your thing.
I can see why people like the musicianship that they put forward. So I can give them credit for that. But when it comes to Five Finger Death Punch and Nickelback, there's nothing there.
I don't see anything, yeah.
It's like an empty can of Coke rolling down the street. Garbage.
Damn.
Garbage.
Damn.
Rolling garbage.
Just rolling garbage.
Just rolling garbage. You have another band besides 𝗙𝗏𝗎𝗄r?
Oh, I was trying to think of it, but I can't really think of one.
Manowar?
Manowar. Thank you. Manowar.
Because I know you're not a huge fan of Manowar.
I just pissed off everyone, but
no. Manowar has lost a lot of fans because of their shenanigans.
But I was never a fan to begin with because
you were ahead of the curve.
I was ahead of the curve. Okay, I was ahead of the times because he was trying to get me into Manowar a couple years ago. But it wasn't sticking because at the time I was into like power metal and stuff like that.
I just thought it was a good band. It
was the right time.
If you're into power metal, if you're into Sabaton and whatever, I just felt like Manowar. Not that they play the same style per se, but they have a lot of the same characteristics. So it would be like a good band for you to get into because I got into more of the power metal stuff through Manowar. Yeah. I was a huge fan of Manowar growing up. I've kind of like not walked away from them, but. That CD is at the bottom of the pile right now. Those CDs.
And it was like all the stars were aligning, and he's like, "Oh, it's time to introduce you to Manowar." And I'm like, I don't know why you're going so over the top for these guys. They're not really that special. And then we tried again and again, and I was just like, nah. To me, they're not really that special.
And it didn't matter how many songs you listened.
Didn't matter how I
Black Wind, Fire and Steel.
That's the only one that I remember the name.
What about Hail and Kill?
No, I don't remember. I know the names, I just don't remember the songs.
Oh, wow. They had a lasting impact on you. Those
and he even put the songs on my phone. And on purpose. And then I was shuffling through, like, on trips and stuff. And then one of the songs would come on and I'm like, the fuck?
Who the fuck is this?
I don't remember this song. I'm like, maybe it's just from, like, one of those albums that go onto my phone automatically from your phone. And I'm like, fuck, I wonder what review he gave these guys. And then I'm like, oh, okay.
It's Manowar. There's no review to be given.
Yeah.
Another band that I know you're not a huge fan of And now we can talk about, because I think I mentioned the ones, I can't think of another band that I really dislike that are liked by a huge amount of people. I already said my four, which is Rush,
we hate Smash
Tool.
Dislike is the word we're using. Hate is the word I'm going to use for Smash Into Pieces.
Man, I've moved on from those guys.
I can't get it out. Like, my hatred for them will always brew.
Really?
Yeah, because it was just like a waste of time. Like,
you felt jaded. You felt cheated.
I felt gypped out of my time, man.
We went to see them. Well, we didn't go to see them live. They were the opening band for Within Temptation
and then
In Flames.
the Browning or whatever the hell.
The Browning. They were opening for Ginger.
That was also a waste of my time. I'm like, what the fuck? I stood here for so long to listen to this, and then Ginger, and then I was like, okay,
Then they cleanse your palate right after.
I've been saved. I've been saved.
I know another band you don't like is 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗘𝗗𝗏.
Yeah.
But that to me is a band that when I first heard them, I didn't really like them either. But when I listened to their latest record, Death Atlas, that album opened up my taste buds to 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗘𝗏. And I became a fan of the band. I went to see them live. I actually did an interview with them. I went to see them live, and I'm a huge fan of 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗘𝗏 now.
There's only a handful of those type of bands that I like. But
for me, I can only think of perhaps 3 bands that, because like I said, I've mentioned all the 4 that I don't like, which is Tool, Rush, Nickelback, and Five Finger Death Punch. I think for you, definitely Belphegor, Manowar, 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗘𝗏𝗏. I don't think these 3 bands, doesn't matter how much I play them to you, you just can't come around to having some sort of love affair with them, and then on top of your pile of Smash Into Pieces.
You know what's funny though? Out of all those bands, 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗘𝗏𝗏 will probably be the one out of those 3 that will probably get like one song that I like. Because
one song out of their entire discography.
Exactly.
You're hoping that one day you like one song.
One song will kind of.
Those are some lofty goals.
Hey, because there's only a hand. Like I said,
you realize that every couple of years they release a new album, so the discography keeps increasing, and your hope is that one day, one song. Wow. One day when you pass away on your tombstone, here lies a man who likes one song from 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗘𝗏𝗏. That's like your claim to fame.
That's my claim to fame.
Wow. Unreal. So to me, 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗘𝗏𝗏 is one of the very few bands that I started off not liking, and the more that I listened to them, and like I said, Death Atlas, the latest record, really solidify how much I appreciate their sound and how much I really dig them. And now I'm a fan of 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗘𝗏𝗏. The other band that for me started off on the wrong side of the street, so to speak, and then suddenly became one of my absolute favorites, I think you is the same. It's Hatebreed.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna say the two of them. One of them is Hatebreed. And Hatebreed, we did a video of them, and we're like, "What the fuck is this?" Like,
we checked out a video on our own channel early on in our channel, and we're like Jimmy Jasta. It was pretty much just him in the video. I was like, "Fuck, this dude is pissed off. Why is he so pissed? Like, why is he so mad? What are you mad about, bro?
Yeah,
what are you mad about?"
We were.
I was like, what is it? Why is he so mad?
See, we were we weren't intelligent at the time.
We were not. Our taste buds were not ready.
Our arms weren't open.
Yeah, we didn't go into that video with our arms wide open. Yeah. That's for sure. That's for sure.
And then you got into them through one of their songs. What's it called? Looking Down the Barrel
of Today.
And then you're like, oh, this is from Hatebreed. I love this song. I'm like, Hatebreed, come on, man. Like,
I remember that conversation.
Really?
I was like, dude, you know what? Maybe we just picked.
We were walking to my school too, and you're like, you were rocking out. I'm like, really, Hatebreed?
But I said to you that, like, I always say this to you: never judge a band on by one or even a couple of songs. Listen to a few more, let it sit in. And then make your decision down the road once you've had at least a fair sample of what the band has to offer. To me, it was just that video. I can't remember what the name of the song was. But anyways, he's there with a bandana by himself, looking super pissed off. I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah. And then and then you got me into that song. I'm like, fuck, this song's actually really, really good. And
that song was our gateway into Hatebreed.
That was our gateway drug into Hatebreed. And then we started, listening to more and more. And then what really solidified the love for Hatebreed was going to see them live.
I agree 100%. But before we went to see them live, we started to dig deeper into their discography, listen to other songs. And it almost felt like every song that I listened to after that one, Looking Down the Barrel of Today, any song that I listened to them after that, it was great. it was like, fuck, didn't we listen to their worst songs leading up to this point?
I think
and
so.
now finally we've been introduced to their like greatest hits, because that song kind of really opened up my eyes to what the band was all about. And then every song that I listened to after that, I was like, fuck, this one is a banger. Fuck, this one is a banger. So when they came to town, I was like, okay, we gotta go see the show.
And it was
and then
better.
that was it.
It was even better live, all the songs.
It was incredible. And that year, we saw, that was 2019, we saw Hatebreed twice, live that year.
I think the best
mosh pits ever.
But the best one was at Heavy Montreal.
Heavy Montreal was incredible set.
Outdoor.
Incredible experience. Outdoor, a lot of
the
energy.
The mosh was even better.
I agree 100%. Hatebreed is, they're one of my favorite bands right now.
I would see them live anytime.
I would go see them live any day of the week, twice on Sunday. Really. Now, what's the other band that we started off by not liking, and then it grew on us?
Nightwish.
Oh, I almost forgot about Nightwish.
Nightwish.
Holy shit, I forgot about
Ghost Love Score. We listened to that song on our channel.
I was like, this is shit.
Fuck. The first two, I swear, the first 2 years of our channel,
we were out to
crickets in there.
We were out to lunch.
Yeah, we were nowhere to be
with
found.
no food. We were out to lunch with no food,
and we didn't like the song. And
I remember saying, I think, because there was no harsh vocals in us.
Yeah, because we.
What the fuck was I thinking?
Because we were into ginger. Like
at the time, we were really into ginger.
Really into ginger. So when we saw female vocals, we're like, oh, she's gotta have some harsh vocals hidden in there somewhere. And I'm like, this song is huge, so maybe there's like at the end, maybe. And then it never came, so we were very disappointed. But
now it was totally Quittus Interruptus.
But now looking back, I want to kick myself in the nuts.
It's one of my favorite songs.
It is my favorite song from them.
I love that track. And how we not appreciated that track that first time around, I think once again, it just shows you that if you're closed-minded, if you have a perception of what you think the band is going to be before you press play, it really has a negative impact on how you perceive the music.
Yeah.
So for example, if you're not a fan of metalcore, and I tell you that the song you're going to listen to is a metalcore song, immediately you're like, oh, I'm going to hate it. And even if the song is good, in your mind, you're not going to give the song any chance whatsoever, because you're already coming in with that preconceived idea that you don't like that genre. Therefore, any song that falls under that genre, I'm not going to like. And I think that applies to everything. If I tell you we're going to listen to a 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗠 song, immediately you're on the back foot. But if I don't say anything and I just press play and I play you a song, you're like, wow, that's a fucking good track. Who is it? 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗠. What? Like, so I think I think Nightwish, that experience that we had with Nightwish, really shows how a person, how close-minded a person can be, and how that can affect your taste for music, for art in general. If you come in because we went in with a preconceived idea, this is a female-fronted band,
so maybe there'll be some.
This is what we're gonna get.
Yeah.
So we went in with a lot of preconceived ideas, and because none of those boxes checked, we didn't like it. So if we went in not knowing what we're getting ourselves into, just completely like freedom of thought, like empty mind, let's just clean slate, let's just go in, listen to it, I think would have been a different experience. And I think this is not something that's unique to me and you. I think this is actually happening to a lot of people. They come into a band with a preconceived idea of, I don't like female fronted bands. So immediately if the band has a female singer, I don't like it. So they don't even give the band a chance, or I don't like this genre.
Yeah.
Or I don't like this guy, or I don't like this theme, or why are they singing in a foreign language? Whatever the case may be.
That was one of the things. I'm not really into deathcore, and that's like I said, there's only a handful of deathcore bands that I like. But then when I listen to Fit for an Autopsy, and I'm like, these guys are deathcore, so maybe I won't like them. But then I listen to them, they're like, holy fuck, like these guys do it different to the point where I love it. Like I love their deathcore. That's the type of thing. Even though if you might not like a genre, the way bands do their music in that genre could sway you to liking.
I think Lorna Shore is a perfect example of that. But with deathcore, I think for you still, sometimes I'd rather not tell you it's a deathcore band
until we
actually listen to the song, until you listen to it, because I still feel like that's one genre of all the genres. That's one genre that you always come in with a preconceived idea that nobody sounds like Fit for an Autopsy, therefore I'm not going to like anything else.
No. For me, it's a 50-50.
Because the whole Carnifex thing, I'm still trying to bring you over.
No, I like
you're on board?
I'm on board with the Carnifex stuff now. See, for me, deathcore can't just be what deathcore is, because deathcore to me is boring. It's very, very boring, because you have the breakdowns.
Most people say that even about metalcore, because it's very repetitive. Everybody sounds the same. I think deathcore is even worse.
But I think deathcore is even worse. Like, I'd rather listen to metalcore for like 10 hours, even though it's going to be the same thing over and over, than deathcore, because deathcore, for me, it's zero calories right there. There's nothing there.
Right? Some bands really lack creativity.
They're the same, and I think it's just because North America, and especially like where we live, a lot of the local bands are deathcore bands. So whenever we go see a show and it's a local band, you know, you always get those.
I think it's because the quality is also not that good.
The quality's not that good. But then I listen to like actual other deathcore bands, and I'm like, fuck, I don't like this either. You have to have something there that can, you know, pique my interest.
Yeah.
So like in the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗠 album, they have a lot of symphonic stuff. In Fit for an Autopsy, they do a lot of melodies and stuff.
I also like the lyrics from Fit for an Autopsy because they always have like a modern theme to them, and they always have a social awareness to their lyrics. I really like that. For me, I'm with you on the deathcore thing. There's about 5 bands, 6 bands that I really dig, but that's about it because I feel like everybody outside of those bands are either trying to sound like one of those bands or they just sound like everybody else, and because of that, it's kind of hard for me to see the forest from the trees.
Yeah, you just try to.
It's just kind of.
They just keep trying to make it heavier and heavier, but you can make something as heavy as you want. But if there's no substance, there's no substance.
I agree with you. On that note, I think we went through all the bands that we don't like. So now it's your turn to let us know in the comment sections what bands you don't like, and you agree with some of our choices, or perhaps you can tell us how big of tools we are. I know somebody's going to tell us I'm a complete tool for not liking Tool.
Someone's going to hate me for not liking Manowar.
I think you're going to get a pass on that one more than me with Tool and Rush.
Yeah.
Tool and Rush, I can see already the comment section like blowing up with people saying how the fuck you're not liking Tool and Rush. But hey, it is what it is. We all have our own tastes. You know, isn't that what they say? Tastes are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
All right, something like that. Anyways, guys, we'll see you at the next video. Take care.
See ya.